California is undeniably the best US state for roller coasters. From north to south, there are dozens of Scream machines here to satisfy all appetites. Fortunately too, I happen to live here, meaning I have easy access to the vast majority of parks in the state. What this means is I'm able to say I've ridden every major roller coaster in California with very few notable exceptions. I have unfortunately had to miss out on Flight Deck at California's Great America, Flash at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and of course Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego and Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which aren't yet open. Those 4 rides sadly won't be getting their own spotlight in today's video, but I'll be sure to make an updated list a few years down the line. Otherwise, I hope you guys can agree with my list and nonetheless can share your opinions down in the comment section below. Also, if you wish to support the channel, liking the video and subscribing would mean the world to me. But alright, without further ado, these are the top 25 roller coasters that I've ridden in the state of California. Number 25, Superman Ultimate Flight at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. This premier ride Skyrocket 2 clone is my favorite ride of its kind I've ridden. For that reason, you will not be seeing Electric Eel at SeaWorld San Diego on this list. I found that this coaster had far more comfortable restraints, had an added sense of freedom, and was amplified by really cool tunnels and lighting. It's nothing too unique overall, but it made for a solid 3rd place coaster at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, excluding Flash that is. Number 24, Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. I've made it clear in past videos that I'm not a very big fan of this ride. It is without question the most underwhelming B&M invert I've ridden. Fortunately though, it's able to fall under one of the best coaster models out there, so even if it is the worst one I've been on, it does have its fair share of strengths. For example, select few elements on this thing pull some striking positive G-forces, like that final helix and vertical loop. My biggest issue with Silver Bullet is that there is a strong lack of whip on the ride. None of the inversions, or elements for that matter, have much of a snappy sensation to them, which in my eyes is what makes the coaster relatively lackluster. Number 23, Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Here we have one of the more underrated coasters to make this list. People knock Scream for its location, for being rough, and for having an uninspired layout, so let's talk about these things in order. As far as location, yes, Scream was plopped down on a parking lot, but so was Twisted Colossus, and so was Medusa in the same state, and you never see those rides getting hate. Also, this coaster is no shakier than any other B&M floorless out there, and I've ridden it dozens and dozens of times. It does have its off days when it's a little worse than others, but I've never had too much of a problem with it. The one thing I will agree with is that none of Scream's elements are unique. They are all the same as what you can find on similar rides by B&M, and thus I can't rank it any higher on this list. But Scream does pack in some intense positive Gs, many of which are quite sustained, so don't get me wrong, it is an enjoyable coaster for sure. Number 22, Manta at SeaWorld San Diego. Currently, the park's best roller coaster is also the coaster that I've ridden more than any other. I know for certain that the number is somewhere in the 400s, as SeaWorld San Diego is my home park. But with this high number, I actually still have not gotten tired of Manta. This ride is way too fun for me to think that, as it's got a brilliant layout, plenty of airtime, and pretty solid positive G-forces. It really does have it all for a family thrill coaster, which is why despite its height of only 30 feet, it clocks in above the rest of the attractions we've gone over thus far. Number 21, Superman Escape from Krypton at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Another underrated coaster is a ride known for its whopping height of 415 feet, but relatively boring ride experience. However, recently the park decided to flip one of the trains forwards, meaning now you get somewhat of a King Ka or Top Thrill dragster effect on its launch if you're sitting in the front row. The speed you feel with an unobstructed view is honestly one of the most surreal experiences on any coaster. The problem with this ride is that it's over before you know it. After the launch, all you have is a giant spike, and that's really it. It's a visually imposing attraction that demands your attention, and it can be worth some hype, but it's lacking many things I look for in a perfect stratocoaster like Top Thrill dragster at Cedar Point. Number 20, Matterhorn Bobsleds at Disneyland. The main caveat with this placement is that it is divided into 2 separate tracks. Matterhorn has 2 sides, one facing Fantasyland and one facing Tomorrowland, and the latter is so much wilder than the former. Thus, I had to consider the 2 ride experiences and find an accurate placement with both in mind. 20 is what I got as a result, which is pretty solid for what is the first ever tubular steel coaster. This ride opened way back in 1959, and it is seriously so uncomfortable in the best ways possible. The ejector airtime pops scattered about, and the spontaneous laterals are the perfect counteract to the theming in my opinion. This is just a super fun and funky ride, and I hope Disneyland keeps it around for as long as can be. Number 19, Incredicoaster at Disney's California Adventure. Formerly known as California Screamin', this Intamin launch coaster was previously my favorite coaster in the Disneyland Resort until my latest visit. It lands this high on the list for its fabulous front row ride experience where you feel every bit of the speed and can ride up close and personal to it. While some can make an argument for its random meandering, I don't look at it that way at all. The entire time you are immersed in the fantastic onboard audio and slight out of control feel of this thing. Incredicoaster is a funky ride by Intamin standards, but it's super long and super fun, which is why I love it so much. Number 18, West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. The newest roller coaster in operation at this park is a ride that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense here. The ride is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but with the other Premier Rides launch coaster in the same park, this coaster is a bit redundant. Still, it's got some great moments of interaction with the other train, decent positive Gs, and is purely enjoyable overall. While I can't say it's one of my favorites at Magic Mountain, I do really enjoy it for what it's worth. Number 17, Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. While the Giant Dipper in San Diego hadn't even come close to making this list, the version in Santa Cruz is an entirely different story. I was absolutely blown away by this ride's rapid series of airtime and laterals, all the while it gave a perfectly smooth ride experience. Impressively, this coaster opened in 1924 and still offers a ride experience superior to many modern wooden coasters out there. If you don't believe the hype, go snag a front row ride yourself and prepare for your expectations to be vastly exceeded. Number 16, Space Mountain at Disneyland. This ride has grown on me more so than just about any other coaster out there. When I first rode it, I thought it was underwhelming, and over time it steadily got a little bit better. Then in 2019, I gained a whole new appreciation for it until my most recent visit in 2021, where it became my new favorite coaster in the entire resort. There's no better way for me to describe it than Space Mountain is just purely fun. You never seem to know where you're going, all while the pacing is great and the forces are shockingly intense. If you're heading out to ride this for your first time, take advantage of the single rider line so you can get more than one ride on it. This is absolutely one of those coasters that seems to get better with every single time you do it. Number 15, Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm. Gerstlauer's largest coaster in the state is a pretty solid ride all around. Not every element on Hang Time is a slam dunk, but a lot of them are pretty great. Many offer excellent airtime, some offer solid hang time, and others have some pretty solid positive Gs. I can't really see this being a top tier infinity coaster when you consider all the ones in Europe, but for America standards, this is up there on the list of Gerstlauer's. Number 14, Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This classic era looping coaster is one of the largest ever built. With 7 inversions and loads of positive Gs, Viper packs in one hell of a punch. Not only that, but it's surprisingly very smooth. Some of the track profiling isn't the greatest in typical aero fashion, but in terms of how the wheels hug the track, it's pretty great for what it is. Again, this is another one of those coasters that's grown on me a lot over the years. When I first rode it, this was actually my least favorite steel coaster, and now it's one of my favorites sentimentally. I hope Magic Mountain keeps this ride beautifully maintained because as it is right now, it is a great coaster. Number 13, Medusa at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. One of the most impressive B&M floorless coaster layouts resides up north in Vallejo and offers a perfectly smooth and relatively intense ride. But to be honest, Medusa wasn't as punchy as I expected. Select elements like the Zero G roll were great, but others lacked any whip similar to Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. With that said, Medusa is sure better than that ride, as its layout is awesome. The Sea Serpent roll is the only one that can be found on a B&M coaster, and all of the elements in between are sequenced to perfection. If only this coaster was a bit more snappy, I could absolutely see it being one of the best floorless coasters out there. Number 12, Riddler's Revenge at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Unpopular opinion alert, I'd take the slight discomfort from the stand-up trains for a more intense experience than Medusa. Riddler's Revenge is another breed of a B&M stand-up coaster, as its layout is monstrous in size and pulls some wildly sustained positive G-force. And you don't just feel this in the usual areas, but you feel it in your legs. It is a wild experience that not everyone will be too fond of, but I personally love the ride and can easily value its immensely strong force. Number 11, Batman the Ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This cloned roller coaster can be found at many Six Flags parks across North America, yet despite this, Magic Mountain is possibly the best one. Whether it's because of the year-round operation, Southern California heat, or whatever it is, this thing runs dangerously fast. The pacing is perfect, the positives are perfect, the whip is perfect, and it's all crammed into such a short layout. Despite this being the smallest in scale, Batman the Ride clones are definitely up there on my list of B&M inverts I've been on. Number 10, Full Throttle at Six Flags Magic Mountain. My favorite launch coaster at this park is a pretty underappreciated coaster. More often than not, Full Throttle is knocked for two things. One, for having a short length, and two, for having trim brakes on its drop. Now, I agree that it's a short ride, but it packs in some fantastic elements in its layout. So many positive Gs, so much speed, it's really just a rush of a ride. As for the drop, I find that the trims amplify the extreme ejector airtime you feel on it. If you're in the back row, this is one of the scariest elements on any coaster as you soar out of your seat here. So as a whole, this ride is great, and it may not be a full package by any means, but I really do appreciate its specialties. Number 9, Apocalypse at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I recognize that this is the 4th coaster in a row from Magic Mountain and the 9th so far on this list, but what can I say, the park has so much on offer. Apocalypse in particular is one of the most underrated GCI roller coasters out there in my opinion. The pacing is immaculate, the sequencing is spectacular, and it's well themed too. Post 2018, Magic Mountain brought new life to this ride with a full-fledged refurbishment, and it really has done wonders to the coaster. So I love this ride, and I hope word starts getting out for how fantastic it is. Number 8, XCELERATOR at Knott's Berry Farm. Intamin's first hydraulic launch coaster is an absolute powerhouse from start to end. That launch in the beginning is one of the most punchy launches on any ride out there, and the top hat that follows is also great. Then the two overbanks blast riders with positives, concluding your short but sweet ride on XCELERATOR. That would have to be the biggest knock with this ride, but to be fair, it is longer than similar rides of its kind. Nonetheless, this is a strong number 2 coaster for this park and absolutely deserves a top 10 placement on this list. Number 7, TATSU at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This B&M flying coaster has always been a guilty pleasure of mine. It has a very creative layout with its pretzel loop in the middle of the ride and various positive G moments in between. Plus, one can't help but love that sensation of flight, which TATSU takes to its advantage with its high elevation and terrain usage. In my opinion, B&M knocked this ride out of the park, and there's no wonder it's one of Magic Mountain's most popular scream machines to date. Number 6, Joker at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. From here on out, all of the top 6 coasters on here also crack my overall top 50 list. I went in expecting Joker to be a lackluster RMC iBox coaster relative to the others, hence what its reputation suggests. But coming off, I was thoroughly impressed from even just a morning ride. I thought its elements flowed great together, I thought it had some excellent airtime and some really fun inversions too. In my book, this was definitely a coaster that vastly exceeded my expectations. Number 5, Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. This amazing CCI turned GCI wooden coaster looks like it places low on this list, but I'll tell you the only reason that's the case is because of competition. This ride is an absolute powerhouse with its vastly different halves. The first half are more large scale, while the second half and preferred half stays low to the ground and weaves in and out of the structure. The entirety of Ghost Rider is filled to the brim with downright terrifying laterals and solid airtime, making this Knott's marquee attraction to date. Again, having this as low as 5 does not feel right for some reason, but the following 2 rides are the slightest bit better in my opinion. So let's head up to Northern California to check them out. Number 4, Gold Striker at California's Great America. Going in, no part of me expected this coaster to be better than Ghost Rider at all, but by the end of the first day at the park, night rides had completely altered my opinion. Not only is Gold Striker my favorite GCI coaster so far, but it's also a top 20 coaster out of 445 credits. I was absolutely blown away by this ride's pacing and its intensity and its airtime and so much more. It is exactly what I'm looking for in a strong GCI coaster and really did everything I could want one of their rides to do. Believe me, don't judge this thing off of a daytime morning ride. Wait till the sun sets, enjoy it at nighttime, and your opinion on Great Coasters International could be changed altogether. Number 3, RAILBLAZER at California's Great America. The West Coast's first single rail coaster is one intense ride. I've gone over Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas many times before, so I won't go super in-depth with its clone. But I'll tell you, more so than any other coaster, this thing packs a ridiculous punch. Its pacing is the very best in the world, its airtime is violently strong, its forces are extreme, and its whip is severe. It's a ride that you just can't believe exists until you ride it for yourself, so whether you've got to get to this park, Texas, or Idaho to ride one, don't pass up the chance to do so. Number 2, Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. From one RMC coaster to another, this iBox coaster has a masterful layout in my opinion. The way it's capable of racing is spectacular, and its elements that make it possible couldn't be more violent. Its airtime moments are extremely powerful, and its pacing on both tracks are incredible. It's a coaster that's been a favorite of mine since I first rode it in 2015, and it still resides in my top 15 today. Number 1, X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Rounding out the top 25 roller coasters in California is the state's most extreme and batshit crazy ride by far. X2 is a coaster that messes with your perception of direction, whether you're right side up, whether you're upside down, and so on and so forth. Its technology is known as a fourth dimension coaster, meaning your seats rotate 360 degrees throughout the ride. Thus, you never know when you're about to be above the track or below the track, but one thing's for certain is you're always to the side of it. X2 might just be one of the craziest roller coasters ever built, so if you are into intense experiences, don't be hesitant to give it a try. As you can clearly see, California has one hell of a roller coaster lineup. All 25 rides that were featured on this list are excellent attractions, and I wish I could highlight even more on top of that. But nonetheless, I'd love to hear down in the comments how you rank your favorite coasters in the state. Also, if you could do me the favor of liking the video and subscribing below, that would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.